in the old days when they had 3-strand lines like this stuff would stretch over time, even humidity, weather, it gets wet, it shrinks, and then it dries and it expands. And so it was constantly affecting the strength of the rig that hold the mass up or keep different sails up. Question is, what about stretch? What does that define? I hear that all the time. 4%, 10%, 15%. What does that mean? The Cordage Institute is an organization made up of all the manufacturers of rope, and they set up a lot of standards. So the standard for elongation or stretch is based on taking any type of line that you might have, whether it's an 8-strand or it's a Dyneema line, core line, and what they do is that they'll put it in a hydraulic mechanism and basically they'll break it. And they have a computer hooked up to it and they will begin to stretch this line. So what they do is they'll say, okay, if this line right I have here in my hand breaks at 10,000 pounds, that's what they've done when they've stretched it and it broke at 10,000 pounds. They will take that and say, okay, at 20% of that load, it's stretched 3 or 4%. And so that's the terminology you hear all the time. They'll say, oh, Dyneema, stretches 0%, or polyester stretches roughly about 3%. Well, that's where they get that from. They will load up that line to 20% of the load that it breaks at, and they'll see how much stretch there is. Stretch impacts sailing performance where in the old days when they had 3-strand lines like this stuff would stretch over time, even humidity, weather, it gets wet, it shrinks, and then it dries and it expands. And so it was constantly affecting the strength of the rig that hold the mass up or keep different sails up or the sheets on squaresails and things like that. So you were constantly adjusting it. Whereas we've gotten to really high-tech boats that you're seeing sailing in the America's Cup or all these big fancy one-design boats or the Maxis that race offshore or the Volvo races, they're not looking for any stretch. So all these boats are, have a lot of carbon fiber on them. They're looking for the shape of that sail, that aerodynamic shape of that sail to stay the same all the time over, days and days and days as they're racing offshore. So the only way to accomplish that is by using line that doesn't stretch. Because if it's stretched 3 or 4%, then every time they put up the sail or change it, they constantly be adjusting the sail more than they need to. And it keeps a consistent loading on the gear too, so that they minimize breakage. So those are just some of the reasons that we want to make sure we understand what stretch is as far as the performance of our boat.